Hi, everybody. Well, if you've been following my adventures here on the Holland America Noordam, you know that there is a cyclone in the area, especially in northern New Zealand, where we were supposed to be heading. And we've had some rough seas, rainy seas, rough shaking of the ship. But there's something that hasn't happened on this ship that I'm very glad to hear. So, we start off, we have some very rough seas on the way to New Zealand. So rough that one of the shows gets canceled and gets postponed to another day. Then we arrive in one location, it's raining. We arrive at our second location only to find out we're going to spend the night there and not go to Picton because the winds are just too strong and it's too dangerous to get out of port. So we miss Picton and end up spending an overnight in another port that we've already been to. Then we started getting ready to sail. We're on our way to our next stop of Napier, which is a short stop of about 6 hours. And the captain comes on and says, yep, we're not going to be able to make it to two more destinations because of the cyclone that's hitting northern New Zealand. And we are now going to be heading to Christchurch, further south now, and spending a day there, and then we're going to have an extra sea day and head back to New Zealand for 3 days. To Australia for 3 days. Okay, so we've had interruptions in our shows, we've had rough sea days, bad weather, and we've missed a total of 3 ports, stayed an extra day in one, and had one extra port. Of course, those weren't the ports we were supposed to go to. Now, when this kind of stuff happens, often what you will hear and what you will see are very disgruntled passengers and very upset and wanting to say, what are you going to do for us? What are you going to give us some money back? What are you going to do? And I haven't heard any of that on this cruise. All the credit in the world to Holland America passengers and fans, because this ship is full. This is their first full sailing since the restart here in New Zealand, Australia for Holland America's Noordam. And there's nobody running down to the front desk complaining that, hey, we're missing this port, we're missing that port. Are you going to give us some credits? Are you going to give us anything free? Everyone's just that I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of people, they're just going with the flow. Yeah, well, it's the weather. What are you going to do? Boy, you don't hear that very often. Remember not too long ago I was talking about that ship that was supposed to go to Iceland and Greenland, and it was just too bad. It was like there's a hurricane in the area, so they ended up going to some other ports away from the hurricane, and the passengers were holding up signs and demanding refunds, and they want all their money back and all that. And I understand the frustration if you book a Iceland Greenland cruise and you don't go to Iceland Greenland. I can understand you wanting something back for that. But isn't it nice to hear that the same situation here on this ship, where basically we're not going to ports we were supposed to go to. The weather has interrupted it. We've had really rough seas and rain at every port except for one. And that was the last port of the surprise port that we weren't supposed to go to. And no one's complaining. Everyone's, in fact, the casino's been closed a few nights because we've had to stay in port. That day we stayed in port, they couldn't open the casino because we're in port. So people were doing without entertainment and things like that on board as well. And nary a peep. There's nobody out there whining and complaining and running down the front desk. I've asked around some of the crew, and they haven't heard anything, which is terrific to hear. And so good on all the people here on the Noordam who understand it can be disappointing, but it's nothing the cruise lines can do, and weather is weather, and they'd rather keep you safe instead of having something tragic happen to you at sea. I've traveled over 10,000 miles to be here. Airfare alone is $10,000 to get here. Am I disappointed we didn't go to Hobbiton? Yes. Am I disappointed couldn't go to Auckland or Picton? Yes. Am I disappointed the weather has been terrible? Yes. Do I expect them to pay me and give me more money back? No. Mother Nature rules the earth, and we can only do what she demands. And right now, she demands we don't go there. And Mother is always right.